A lot's been going on in EDD right now, but what's the thing that you're paying attention to most closely right now?
I think what I'm seeing is the resurgence of long delays in getting benefits payments. So EDD had caught up for the most part on claims that were filed in the initial stage of the pandemic. But now that people have gone in and out of employment or are having to reapply for their new benefits years, we're seeing a substantial backlog start to increase and affect the ability to receive benefits on time.
That reapplication for a new benefits year, can you tell me a little bit about that and why it's going to be different this time?
So typically claimants can only get benefits for about 26 weeks during any benefits year, which is 52 weeks. But because we have all of these available extensions during the pandemic, claimants have been able to get benefits since the start of the pandemic, which means that their benefits year remained the same in that they filed at the start of the pandemic and remained on extensions throughout. But once you hit the end of the benefits year, EDD is required to check first if you qualify for a new benefits year before granting any additional extensions.
Okay. And how is the process going from your perspective?
So one of the issues right now is that because there have been so many problems with EDD, that many claimants aren't checking as to the need to reapply for benefits because they're assuming they've been caught up in one of these identity verification issues, or Bank of America suspended their account, or one of the other issues that have been covered in the press extensively. So they're simply not checking. Another issue is just the continually changing legal landscape. You know, we have, hopefully at the end of this week, we'll have another extension on the benefits. And following all of these developments is difficult for a claimant to know, okay, when do I have to reapply, or is this going to be automatic? I think the other main conflicting information is that those who are on the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, or PUA, do not need to apply for a new benefits year in the same way that regular UI claimants apply. And so that makes it particularly confusing for those on regular UI, because someone who did substantially similar work to them before the pandemic may be on PUA and not have to reopen. And so they're getting their benefits continued, whereas, you know, the claimants on regular UI have to go in and make that new application for benefits.
What is the process for opening a new claim?
For most claimants, when you log into your UI online account, when you have a new benefits year available to apply, you'll see a file a new claim or register or manage existing claim on your initial login, so just after you put in your credentials. So instead of going into the register or manage existing claim, which is where you've been monitoring your UI benefits so far, you actually want to file that new claim. Some folks will receive a notification within their UI online system that will show them that their benefits year has ended and that they won't be eligible for new benefits until they apply.
Will their benefit amount change if they had a lower income from the previous year, or only unemployment income?
Yes, so a claimant, as many claimants are during the pandemic, who has not gone back to work at all, they will reapply. EDD will determine that they do not have new earnings that would qualify them for a new benefits year, and they'll be put right back on the extensions. So basically the reapplication system is just EDD checking to make sure they don't qualify for a new benefits year, and then continuing with the extensions. For those who had some work history, if their weekly benefit amount is going to decrease more than $25, then they'll be allowed to remain on their prior benefits year and continue to get the extensions instead of being moved to their, what would have been their weekly benefit amount on the new claim.
Okay, and when they do that, will they, I mean, nobody wants to go through this again, but will they need to reconfirm their identity?
It is likely that all claimants who apply for benefits again will have to go through the ID.me system and certify who they are at the time they submit the application, just as claimants are instructed to do in the initial phase of application. It's just like you're applying initially again, except that EDD now is able to look at your prior benefits year to see if you were on extension. So they just compare the two.
Will there be a gap in benefits?
So assuming that President Biden signs the American Rescue Plan Act before the 14th of March, claimants should be able to get benefits without a gap. But because we know that EDD has consistently had delays in implementing these programs, like we saw in December with the Continued Assistance Act, there may be a delay in those benefits paid, even though there's not actually a gap in what they're owed.
Yeah, because we just hit that other date, right? The 7th
Yes,
was the other one?
The phase 2 of the Continued Assistance Act rollout that EDD implemented just happened last week. So there are many claimants, over 100,000 claimants, if not more, that have been waiting for the extended benefits that were passed in December, who are only now able to certify for benefits this week. So we hope that the delays are shorter with this next plan, but we do know partly because of the need to reapply for benefits at the end of the benefits year, as well as the other protections EDD has put in place in order to protect the UI system, that there may be delays in many claims for benefits as claimants start to apply again.
And we did just kind of talk about it a little bit, but how long does it usually take for EDD to process the types of new claims?
Typically, EDD should be making payments within 21 days of a claimant's application for benefits, or at least make the claimant aware of what information they need to provide EDD in order to continue with their benefits. But we're seeing many week delays, especially those claimants who need to verify their identity manually with EDD, where the wait time to have their documents reviewed by EDD is at least 6 weeks.
Ooh, and so I guess just generally, I mean, the way it started, do you think things are getting better or worse right now at EDD?
It's hard to know whether things are getting better or worse because as the pandemic draws on, it's more difficult for the recipients of UI benefits to wait even 1 week for a payment. You know, they've endured many months of unemployment at this point. They've exhausted all of their savings that they've had. And so it's harder on those claimants for any delays. So even though there have been improvements in some of the procedures that EDD has done over the pandemic to make it easier to access benefits, there have also been large backsliding in terms of their processing of applications. And I think we see this the most with the suspended accounts that they did in the end of the year in December, where they suspended 1.1 million claims, and we've already seen that over 600,000 of those claimants were actually eligible for benefits and should have never had any delays in their payments.
What kind of things do you want people who are claiming unemployment to be aware of right now?
So I think claimants on unemployment should know that they should be monitoring both their email and their mailbox, their snail mailbox, for notifications from EDD. Even if you are mostly communicating with EDD via your UI Online portal, there are still notifications that EDD sends only in the mail. And you'll want to make sure that you have access to the mailing address on file with EDD so that you can respond to any of those notices promptly. Another thing that we always like to remind claimants is their continued need to certify for benefits. As people get frustrated trying to access these benefits, some claimants give up and stop certifying because it just shows pending after pending after pending, or disqualified after disqualified after disqualified on their UI Online account. But we really encourage claimants to keep certifying, because once their situation gets remedied, if they have done all of their certifications, then all of the benefits can be paid right away, and they don't have to wait for the reissuance of those certifications down the line in order to get paid the back benefits.
And I did want to ask you about back benefits, because I had been talking with one woman who still hasn't got paid from the beginning of the pandemic. If she does get through the whole process, which by all means sounds like hell, um, will she get all the back pay?
Yes, so there shouldn't be these delays in processing the applications. And when there are delays, assuming that the claimant was eligible in every week since the start of the pandemic, they're entitled to those benefits for every week since the start of the pandemic, including those supplemental benefits, the initial PUC benefit of the extra $600, and now the supplemental PUC of $300.